Why do I still have thyroid symptoms when my lab tests are normal? Now, of course, you can have lab tests that are not normal, but many people are running around with lab tests that are actually normal, but they still have thyroid. Before 1970, we used to diagnose thyroid primarily by symptoms and signs. You come to the doctor, he runs a number of physical examinations, or goes through a battery of physical examinations, asks you questions and so on and so forth. And through that process, you could really get a good handle whether somebody's thyroid was working properly. Now, I'm not against the test. I think the tests are wonderful. But when you use the test as your only guide of what's going on with the thyroid, you're really going to miss a lot. And as we go through this, you're going to know more of this. Now, some people estimate there's 26 million people that have thyroid problems, and some people estimate up to 52 million people. Now, that's 1 in 5 Americans that are dealing with some level of thyroid problem. Very interesting. Most of these thyroid problems are autoimmune driven, so they're really not even thyroid problems, if you will. They're immune system problems. And this is Hashimoto's and Graves', but Hashimoto's by far more common. What I'm going to do here is we're going to go through first and talk about just kind of the signs and symptoms of what it looks like. Because I think that sometimes, you'll see yourself in this or you won't see yourself in this. So if you see your wife in this, don't point it out. That's not nice. So I'm just kidding. Okay, do you suffer any of the following symptoms? You may have a thyroid problem: fatigue, weakness, muscle cramps, irritability. Now, definitely don't point that one out. Depression, weight gain, and I'm not going to say that one. Difficulty losing weight, constipation, intolerance to cold, decreased libido, memory loss, and hair loss. There's a lot of other things that go with thyroid problems, but this is definitely kind of a cookie cutter. The thyroid, if you will, is the energy that makes all the cells work. That's what the thyroid hormone does. It makes it gets into the mitochondria, which are the energy producers in the cells, and it even changes the gene, or turns on genes in the cell to make it activate and move and go and be alive. And if you can think about it, I thought this was a great illustration. When your thyroid's working normally, it's like all these pistons are going. You see that? And then when the thyroid starts getting sluggish, you see that? That is I was the one that came up with the illustration, but that's a great illustration. I'm not trying to brag on myself, but I'm saying that is a fantastic illustration. Thank you very much. That's a great illustration because that shows us really what's going on. This is the reason why thyroid problems will touch almost every single health condition there is. Because every cell in the body needs the thyroid hormone in order to activate it. Does that make sense? Okay. Here's a picture of what the thyroid looks like. It's the butterfly looking thing down here. And you can see the nodules, and not the nodules, but you can see the shape, and sometimes people develop nodules on it. It's located right about here, just like that. And just to go through some schematics of how the hormones work, I want to take a moment to do that, and then we're going to go back over the signs and symptoms. This right here is a place called the hypothalamus, and this is a place called the pituitary gland, and this is the thyroid. Okay, so they've pulled that square out and they pulled it out right here. The hypothalamus releases something called thyroid releasing hormone. So it releases a hormone and it goes down to the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland releases what's called TSH. Who's heard of TSH? You've heard of TSH. Okay, so thyroid stimulating hormone, or we'll call it TSH, goes down into the thyroid, and when the TSH hits, there's receptors on the thyroid that receive that TSH, and when it receives it, it begins the activation process of building the T4 primarily and T3, which are the different thyroid hormones. Okay? So also this runs on what's called a negative feedback loop. A negative feedback loop looks like this. Once the T4 comes out of that thyroid, the T4 is going to go down into the thyroid. 60% of it is going to go down to the liver, and it's going to be converted into T3. Now, why that's important is T3 is really the most active form of the thyroid hormone. So in other words, cells use the T3, or it's a more potent form of the hormone, if you will. 20% of it goes into the gut, and the other 20% is not used. So not all the thyroid hormones used, but anyway, you'll see circulating in the system the T4s and the T3s. Well, when it circulates in the system and then it comes up into the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, boom, certain levels happen. It's a negative feedback loop. In other words, it'll stop the production of more of the TRH and the TSH. Does that make sense? Isn't the body awesome? I mean, you know, when you look at the way the magnificent wonder of this body is, I don't know how you would not see that there's a creator behind this. There's just impossible. We would not, I mean, if I was putting the thyroid together, I wouldn't have thought of that. That's a pretty good idea.